All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Grand Cathay led by Dark Age Rush facing off against Harrison and his dinosaurs with a very rare sighting of a non-Slan Lord, actually. Is that going to be Krokar? All right, so yeah, Krokar probably does have his laser beam, so he does have his sci-fi weaponry, the Hand of the Gods, which is a very good sniping tool, although its applications against Grand Cathay. Trying to think what it would be very good against. I mean, surely you can use it against the big dragons, but trying to kill Zhao Ming is like impossible with his heal. So maybe it's a tech to try and snipe their casters or secondary hero characters. We'll have to see. But the Velociraptor itself is an anti-large fighter and is relatively elusive. So for the rest of the Dino army here, it's going to be Skink Skirmishers, a good choice for sure. Just like if you're playing Skaven, you want to get the really cheap Night Runners just to get up and grab the objectives quickly. It's super cost effective, and the rest of the army is going to be Chaff centric. So we do have a lot of Skinks back here, and Skink Javelins with Saurus leading the back charge. And what is the caster going to be? I would probably have to assume a Heavens caster. I think of the different magic options, Heavens is very good. Urandan's Thunderbolt can nuke Cathay infantry, and the buff spells can be situationally useful as well. So yep, it's going to be a Heavens caster up in the sky here, and it is going to be using Urandan's Thunderbolt. Now, looking at the armies of Grand Cathay here in Dark Age Rush, one of our only Cathay mains, I think there's like 3 of them, maybe 2. They're the rare spawns for sure. But we've got Jade Warriors in the front with Iron Hail Gunners in the secondary. Iron Hail Gunners are, not bad here. They're vulnerable against Ancient Salamander builds. So if your opponent goes with like double Ancient Salamander, they can rip apart a build like this. But if they don't bring that, then the Iron Hail Gunners can mow down many of the big dinosaurs, the Feral Cold Ones, Cold Knights, and even the infantry if they can get line of sight. And last but not least, it looks like it's going to be just a support Alchemist here, just for the, where is this? Yeah, not the Missile Resist, but the Master of the Elemental Winds for the spell intensity. And Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon, is just going to be using the cheap breath attack, which makes sense. Saurus only have like 50 or 60 armor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 60, and then the Skinks themselves have 30. So just cooking them over the course of a long game when you're in dragon form is uber cost effective. So that's going to be it. Let's get this party started. Lizards do grab 2 objectives out of the gates, which, Cathay is definitely has some trouble getting the objectives back in the late game. But, in the beginning when their formation is intact, if they can move up on a map like this and just kind of control 2 objectives, it's pretty cost effective for them for sure. So we'll have to see how this all unfurls. Yeah, Feral Cold Ones at the ready. Clearly, they're going to be wanting to jump into the secondary. The big thing here for the dinos is probably going to be shutting down the Iron Hail Gunners. Those things will do a ton of damage if left to their own devices, and it's definitely a very tough skill set to be able to get line of sight with the Iron Hail Gunners. But, the few Cathay mains out there are pretty good at it, like finding these weird openings in the formation where they can contribute to the infantry fight. But like I said, it ain't easy. Skink Skirmishers circling around the outside of the army, and we do see Feral Cold Ones getting ready to loop, and they're eyeing down those Jade Lancers. In a straight-up fight, I think the Jade Lancers would win on the charge, but if they don't get their charge off, their combat stats probably would suffer against the Feral Cold Ones quite a bit, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm kind of curious how that's going to go there. Iron Dragon going to be coming in, and it looks like there is a Searing Doom as well. So one of the metal casters, there were 2 of them. I think one has Plague of Rust and one has Searing Doom. Oh, interesting. So we have Searing Doom, Plague of Rust here, and then just Plague of Rust here, and then the Breath Attack. So very interesting combination of spells, and I'm eager to see the applications of those. Cathay does start to steal the objective, and we do get a charge coming in from the Jade Lancers on the other side. So they're going to be running into the Skink Skirmishers. Little Dinosaur is going to be eating the full lances of Cathay's, I wouldn't say mighty cav, but they're not bad. They're basically just like Empire Knights, which are a little bit less armored, but I think their damage output is slightly better than Empire Knights, if memory serves. Not by much. They're pretty much the same thing, basically. Now back in the front line, huge breath attack coming in from the Iron Dragon with that spell mastery nastiness, able to roast all these skinks, and you see them being sent running to the hills as the Jade Lancers of Grand Cathay surge into the secondary and continue to hunt down the retreating dinos. Now the real warriors are going to be coming forward. The Saurus warriors have arrived. Granted, the objective has flipped to Grand Cathay, so they're going to be enjoying themselves pretty well. Dark Age Rush continues his push, though, and is going to be using the Empress's Crowmen to do glorious battle versus the Feral Cold Ones, but they're not standing alone. We do have some Jade Lancers over here, too, so they might actually be able to win this fight. Although I think dinos are going to have some pretty fast reinforcements. Yeah, we have Cold and Spear Riders coming in, so the Spear Riders will hard counter the Jade Lancers because Jade Lancers just lack armor piercing, and they're not really designed for cav-to-cav fighting. So yeah, that should be a good situation for the dinos, although if the Iron Dragon comes over there, it could switch it up. Now back in the epicenter of combat, we see the Jade Warriors, their bulwark holding firm, and the Iron Hail Gunners, where the hell did they go? Okay, it looks like both Iron Hail Gunners were sent running, and I think that was done by the Javelins, maybe a little bit, and most likely the Magic Missile from Krokar as well, in tandem with some of the magic that was there for the dinos, probably Urandan's Thunderbolts, but the Iron Hail Gunners will return at some point. Objective 2 does belong to the dinosaurs, Objective 1 belongs to the dinos as well, but Dark Age Rush is a little bit ahead in value trading, as Feral Cold Ones are going to be retreating from the Jade Lancers here, although both these Feral Cold Ones probably could turn around and win this fight. If they fought shoulder to shoulder, both these units, 32 Feral Cold Ones here and another 30 right here, they should have a decent chance at this. We will see if there's any Crowmen that come in to intercept, though. So Grand Cathay just kind of value trading on the objective here, and it looks like the dinos are going to start getting the capture way back as Krokar does manage to chase off the Jade Lancers, and I suppose that's an application for him, is that he is going to be decent against the large cav targets like this, and it looks like there's going to be a fat bombardment coming in from the dinosaur, so that will certainly do some damage, as it's going to be nuking into the Jade Warriors, Uno Dos Tres. Not too bad. You know, they were kind of in a spread out formation there, not too boxed up, so they seem to take that like champs. Now, this might seem like, you know, a bit of a, not like a small play, for example, but the Iron Hail Gunners moving up here is actually huge, because you're going to see a big stat line buff as the Harmony kicks in. So now Harmony on this unit. So if Dark Age Rush can manage to keep this Iron Hail Gunner online next to these Jade Warriors, that's going to be Value City. It's a huge stat increase, right? If we look at the Harmony, that is the defensive stance, and yeah, you can see melee defense, leadership. It's very, very good. So Iron Dragon in the back, tearing it up, ripping through these Skink Cohort Javelins, most likely going to be forcing a terror out. The points are heavily favored for the dinosaurs, but it does look like the dinos are getting pushed back on many fronts right now. If we look over here, they have a very tattered Saurus unit, which honestly, a Harmony Jade Warrior will uptrade into them very cost effectively. And over on the middle objective, it looks like Grand Cathay does have Jade Warriors and has been using the Crowmen to really, really turn the tide of many of these fights. So the dino certainly on the back foot as the peasants do hold here. Now, do they get Harmony? What is the Harmony of the Crowmen? Yeah, it looks like the Crowmen do bring the other Harmony there. So they have Yin and the Warriors have Yang. That's actually really cost effective. Yeah, I don't play a lot of Cathay, so little nuances like that can certainly fly over my head in the heat of casting, but Objective 2 is being contested. Saurus Warriors do arrive, and the big win con here for the Lizards is going to be trying to get the game to the point where they can win on one objective, although Cathay is doing a good job ninjaing the outside points as well, and we do have a Jet Lion coming in, so the Jet Lion does have the Missile Mirror. I wonder if the Jade is better here, but I suppose the dinos do have some. If you're like chasing down like a Salamander Hunting Pack or a Razordon, you can get some good burst damage with that bound Missile Mirror, but these things are honestly not terrible. They do have the Disrupted, so they can actually silence things, which is really cool, and I like this tech actually now that I think of it because of the Slan. If you're chasing down a Slan with a Jet Lion, it's not going to be able to cast spells until they can get rid of the Jet Lion, so that's actually really neat. On this objective, though, looks like Harrison's on the comeback path a little bit. He does manage to get some momentum up here, as the Crowmen are embroiled in combat versus infantry, which is not going to be super cost-effective with them without support. And the Skink Cohorts and Krokar and the Coldman Riders should be able to mow down these old crows right here. While on the other side, the Saurus Warriors and Red Crested Skinks, I believe, had arrived to the point earlier, are still able to hold it. Nope, looks like the forces of Grand Cathay are able to stabilize that. Red Crested Skinks do arrive. With their low stat line of 20 melee defense is honestly going to mean they take a lot of damage. And the big breath attack, really, really nice cast there by Dark Age Rush, able to melt those guys. Urandon's Thunderbolt in the back, direct hit on the Jade Warrior Halberds, uber cost-effective cast there by Harrison. Objective 3 held by Cathay, so they're certainly holding on to that one, not letting it go. Colin's going to be more Crowmen, and we do, of course, have the Jet Lion, which you almost never get to see these things fight. I mean, they are cool. They do lower your physical resist, which is, you know, if you stack it with another unit, it's going to add up to some more damage, and they have some cool animations as well. Yeah, it always reminds me. I just ate at a pretty sweet Chinese restaurant the other day, and they had like you know how like some of the old school Chinese restaurants will have like statues of these kind of things out front. Yeah, it just reminded me of the lions. But yeah, he's feasting, man, and I think he cause terror. Let's go ahead and check. I don't think they did at first. No, they just cause fear. See, that's kind of a weird one. I feel like the lion units could cause terror. I mean, there's many units in this game which aren't as scary as the Jet Lion or the Jade Lion that cause terror. I don't think that would be like OP or anything like that. Yeah, just something to think about. Moving up are the Peasant Long Spearmen, and now the objective is being contested. It looks like Grand Cathay is going to be able to rip this one, and if they get this, they'll have a pretty comfortable time probably running away with the game. In the meantime, the Dino's trying to push forward with the Feral Cold Ones and the Skink Cohorts, but just being overwhelmed by the Jade Lancers in tandem with the Jade Warriors. Definitely would like to see more Cold One Spear Riders. I feel like they'd be good against most of this build, and Krokar are finally going to be finding a fight that's actually good for him. He's going to be doing battle with the Jet Lion, and yeah, Krokar feels like another strange pick in this matchup. I mean, the only application really I can think of for him would maybe be going after the big Iron Dragon. But, you know, Iron Dragon can probably even beat him in a fight with his healing ability in Dragon form. And you can see this, like, Haggard Lion monster is actually, like, holding its own against him and, you know, trading kind of evenly. So, yeah, Krokar, I think, on Velociraptor is good in a couple matchups, but the Slan are just so good. Although Slan against Cathay, I can think of some issues. If Cathay is packing some heat, like a Grand Cannon in the secondary, for example, Battletoads can die very quickly. So against Cannon factions, sometimes Battletoads can be risky. Cannons in general aren't like the most cost-effective thing. They tend to miss a lot with like good micro and SEs, but against like slow movement speed SEs like Battletoads, they can, you know, take some punishment. So the Lion and Croc are trading somewhat evenly, but it looks like Crocar's anti-large bonus and, better stat line is going to be getting him the better of that fight eventually, but we're going to see if it ends up mattering in the long run. Middle objective does go back to the Dinos, so man, Harrison didn't hear no bell. He is keeping the value within 1,000, so he is keeping it close, and the Dinos don't have any healing though, so this is probably a decent representation. Granted, the value, gold damage value doesn't always track all spells. It's kind of a weird thing. It'd be nice if CA took a look at that someday, but I'm certainly not holding my breath. Peasant Horsemen arrive, providing 4 capture weight and enough killing power on the charge to, put some hurt down on the skinks, so they're going to be flanking in. Really, really nice using the light cav to just try and break formations of low leadership units, so to get the charge in there. And the peasant, I like the Cathay peasant spears. They look so cool. Their hats are freaking awesome. But yeah, they're hanging in there. And with the Harmony, they actually become a pretty formidable unit. But that's 8 capture weight coming in. But Grand Cathay still has several Jade Warriors, including a Halberd unit, Cav, and multiple characters, which each have a lot of capture weight. So Harrison is investing a lot in this gambit over here of trying to take objective 3 by, just swarming force. But it's not going to be easy. The Jade Warriors will most likely be able to hold firm. Granted, they don't have Harmony right there. So Cathay's still hanging on to objective 1. I'm very surprised we haven't seen, something go over here, like a Saurus Spear to try and grab that point. Trying to send Skinks over there isn't going to work out because Jade Lancers can just run them down. But yeah, maybe something a little bit more stalwart or like a Croxagore unit. Croxagores are very, very good in this matchup in my anecdotal experience. Granted, I don't really like playing Cathay or Lizardmen. They're not 2 factions I really enjoy. But yeah, Croxagore seem like they would be pretty sweet here. But Cathay does overwhelm the Dinos on this objective, and it is going to start flipping right now. So we can see that going up, and Grand Cathay now going to be calling up Peasant Horsemen to provide 8 speed capture weight. 8 capture weight, which is pretty speedy, and they'll probably be able to arrive in time to salvage this. Currently, the dinosaurs have 3 capture weight here, and most likely, I would say, close to 5 with all the units on there, so Grand Cathay should be able to hold on to that. And it does look like the back of Harrison has been broken. The grinding Harmony of Grand Cathay, Iron Dragon just going balls deep around, and 2,300, which I feel like every Iron Dragon game I look at, he has 2,300 value, but yeah, always fun to see Grand Cathay in action. They're definitely a rare spawn of a faction. They don't get played terribly often. They're extremely, extremely hard to play in domination mode, but they can do well, and they can beat several of the meta factions in the hands of right players. So, occasionally you'll see a really high-level tournament, and you'll see Cathay picked as a weird counter pick against something, but yeah, they're hard to play. They're hard to play. It's not easy. Playing, I would say Chaos factions are very simplistic and very unga bunga. Yeah, they're probably the easiest factions for beginners to pick up in domination. Khorne is probably straight up the easiest faction of the game. Everything in their melee roster is so cost effective. You don't have to worry about using your magic effectively because your faction is just kind of tuned to not use magic. That's going to be a triple cap right there with a pretty big value lead. Can the Dinos do anything? Let's fast forward a little bit. I don't want to call it over yet, but we're going to fast forward and see. Lizards do manage to grab the middle, but now Grand Cathay is just straight up ahead on points too. And we do get one last fight here as the Iron Dragon just dives and goes after Crocar, whose armor is going to be down to 30. Croman and Peasant Horsemen are even getting a little bit of work done here, and that's going to be the back broken for the Dinos. As Crocky Balboa, as fun as it is to see him in action, the Iron Dragon showing him who's boss here in this game, and Crocky Balboa is going to be fleeing the scene, currently shaken and terrified. So, man, how is Crocar not immune to psychology? He's some ancient, elite soldier, right? I feel like he would be immune to psychology. That's another oversight in my opinion, but not egregious or game-breaking, but yeah, he should be immune to psychology. Really fun match. Always fun to watch Dark Age Rush and Harrison. And, it's cool to see Cathay in action once again. So very, very, standard Cathay stuff, though. Iron Dragon is the most meta choice. He's very strong. Using the spell mastery buffs and a little bit of hybrid magic was also cool. Iron Hill Gunners got shut down horribly, so that was a good play by Harrison, but it wasn't enough to win him the fight. Crowmen, very good. And Crowmen are probably the most useful unit on the roster, honestly. Not that they get crazy value, but they really plug one of the big weaknesses of Grand Cathay, which is mobile pressure. I mean, sure, Jade Lancers are all right, and they did really well this game. God damn, 1,500, 1,400, looking like elite cav there. And even the jet line did fine. So for this build, let's look at this. So we do see that Crocar, I mean, he almost paid for himself, but he just doesn't feel like he's great in this matchup. The caster was good. Maybe would have liked to have seen more Saurus. They're more resilient against the breath attack, more resilient against shock cav, so more of a Saurus-centric combination. And I think Croxagores being called out would be brutal, right? Because Croxagores have anti-infantry, so they annihilate Crowmen. They're honestly tanky enough to wreck Jade Lancers. They really beat everything that Dark Age has except the halberds and spears. So I think that Harrison just needed to mix in more Croxagores. Just get 4 of them on the field, man, and Cathay is going to struggle without their shooting. All right, guys, GG, well played. We'll see you around, and that's going to be it for tonight.